Hello, NeedleMouse fans. For the first time ever, I'm doing a face reveal. I was supposed to be doing this live as well, but my camera broke this morning. So instead of doing it live, I'm doing it on my phone, which I thought I could also do live, but the damn thing wouldn't connect. And after 20 minutes of messing around with it, trying to get it to work, I gave up and thought, you know what? I'm just going to record it on my camera and we'll see what happens. It's not that big a deal if it's live. I'll work on that in time to come. But yeah, so this is what I look like, which hopefully isn't too disappointing. I mean, I'm a complete cliche YouTuber who's a bit chubby, has a beard, and dyed hair. And what do you know, loves comic books and everything related to them. It is a bit cliche, I know. My only hope is that everyone out there was imagining someone really ugly when they heard my voice, and that way I don't look too disappointing now. But yeah, so a lot of people have asked me who I am. I'm just going to go with NeedleMouse. You don't need to know my real name. That's better than my real name anyway. But I am going to sort of give you my origin story, as it were. Uh, it's a bit of an odd one. I've got some notes here, so forgive me if I look down. I know it's my life, but when you're on camera talking to thousands of people, you know, it's best to make sure you get it right without ad-libbing it wrong. But yeah, so I should probably warn you before we start, this story is going to get a bit messed up. I had a bit of a messed up childhood, which I'm going to go over because it actually matters to more things. So, okay, as a lot of you already know, I used to be in a wheelchair. I've mentioned it in a few videos, obviously. Oh, I'm not going to bother to stand up. I think you can believe me when I can say I can stand up. You don't need to see me do a tap dance. Also, I don't know how to tap dance, so you know. But anyway, I used to be in a wheelchair and I'm no longer in a wheelchair, it's true, but I do still have a neurological condition. And it basically causes me to be in chronic agony all the time and to have seizures. The seizures are sort of two main variants. You see, a seizure isn't as simple as you think. You know, you grow up seeing it on TV, they shake, they foam at the mouth, they collapse, and you think that's a seizure. And it is. But there's actually lots of different other types of seizure. And although I have that one, I also get paralyzed. If I'm lucky, it's just from the neck down. If I'm unlucky, I am completely paralyzed. I literally can just blink like and move my eyes around. Yes, it's even more terrifying than it sounds, to be honest. Sometimes it lasts for hours, and you're just there, just like, and that's all you can do. Well, it's horrible, really. I mean, like I said, this story does get a bit messed up just telling you my day to day. So, you know, if I do collapse or anything else during this video or suddenly in place and you're wondering what's going on, that's what's going on. Okay, so, yes, I'm disabled, technically. I don't really think of myself as disabled, like a lot of disabled people don't. It's an unhealthy mindset, quite frankly. So we try not to. Obviously, we're not idiots. We know our reality. We don't like our reality, but you know, we make some concessions to get around it. But don't think of yourself as, oh, you can't do anything for an invalid. It's just an unhealthy way to look at life, quite frankly. But the reason I mentioned my childhood is because it's the reason I'm disabled. Basically, my parents did this to me. Yeah, so let's get into that. That'd be fun. Basically, I'm from England, obviously, and I had a fairly rough childhood. We're talking. Well, let me put it like this: when I was just a little toddler, I was in church. It was a horrible, stuffy room, no windows. It was just a brick box, no aircon, no nothing, and it was boiling hot in summer. And I did what any toddler would do. I fidgeted. I was probably noisy. I don't remember exactly. So, you know, most people would write that off as it's a kid, you know. My parents are a little bit narcissistic. So if you did something bad, it would reflect on them. Most people wouldn't see it that way, but they would. So my dad took me out back to sort me out. He lost his temper, as my parents often did. And he ended up throwing me a radiator and splitting my skull open. I don't know if you can actually see it on this light. Yeah, you can see a bit there. It's not too bad an adult. It's only about an inch scar there. It's a lot worse on a toddler, you know, blood streaming down your face, crying your eyes out in a church. Not great. I mean, he didn't actually intend to throw me at the radiator. He, like I say, he just lost his temper. Problem is, they used to hit us like we were adults. And when you hit someone small like an adult, they can go flying, you know? But, yeah, I got better at taking a punch as I got older. Although, on the plus side, it was the quickest I have ever been seen in a hospital. Seriously, we were in and out so quick, it was insane. I don't think we even waited, which, as you know, just never happens in a hospital. It's, but when there's a blood kid, a small child, it rushes things along, obviously. Although the worst part was, after we had it, right, I've just had my head stitched together and all the rest of it. We didn't go home. We went back to church. And we did it because my parents basically wanted to brag, believe it or not. They seemed to think the idea that, oh, look, our son's injured, but we've still come back to church. Aren't we just better Christians? And they used to tell that story for years to come. Not even joking. They changed the story so that he didn't do it. They changed it to such a stupid thing. Basically, they said that I headbutted a radiator. I mean, what? Yes, I was being fidgety in church, went out back and decided to headbutt a radiator, as you do. I mean, ignoring the fact that I wasn't even tall enough to reach the top where the radiator was sharp, or that I wasn't strong enough, just why would anyone do that? It's ridiculous. I mean, it is one of the weirdest things about actually being, like, beaten as a kid. Parents don't have to come up with good lies, and they don't. They're really bad at it, in my experience. But people don't question it. You know, they don't want to think people do those things. They don't like to think of kids like that. And above all, they don't like to get involved. I mean, I look back on it and I know the ones in the church who knew something was wrong because they started avoiding us, which is, not very Christian in my opinion, but such is the way of the world. But yeah, it didn't really get much better from there, if I'm being honest. And it wasn't just my dad. People always assume it's my dad. It's a little cliche, I know, and it was him. I'm not defending it, but my mother was actually much, much worse. Like, as the old joke goes, my dad hit me, but my mother hit harder. And she did. She once knocked out one of my teeth for some reason. I say for some reason because I genuinely have no idea why she was annoyed. And I say knocked out, I mean, it probably might could say she shattered it. I had to go to hospital again, have surgery. I remember them couldn't find a vein trying to knock me out. I'm all in agony and had to remove the pieces of it from my jaw. As you can see, I have teeth. So fortunately, it was a baby tooth. It did damage the roots, so my next tooth came through wrong, but at least I have teeth. I can't believe I'm saying that as like a silver lining. At least I have teeth, Jesus. Oh, God, when you say it out loud. But yeah, these are the worst bits, obviously. But that was the childhood. Beatings, abuse, worthless, useless, going to school with a black eye, making up excuses to my friends because I was embarrassed of the truth. I still am a little bit as an adult, if I'm being honest, but I shouldn't be. I didn't do anything wrong. I was a freaking kid. There's nothing a kid can do. And anyone out there in abuse, literally, there is nothing a child can do that justifies knocking a tooth out. Nothing. That's all there is to it. It took me quite a long time and a lot of therapy, which I'm still in, to work that out. But yeah. And like I say, it wasn't all bad. It was basically good when my parents weren't around, quite frankly. But you know what I mean? These are spread out over a childhood, it was mainly bruises and abuse. Um, there were some good stuff in there, presumably. I'll be honest, I can't think of any right now, but I'm sure there were some, you know what I mean? Let's try not to make it too dark. But yeah, mainly just abuse, intimidation, all that kind of stuff. And like I say, I got better at taking a punch. As I got older, it was less bruises. And I also got better at escaping. One of the important things was to have hiding places and to know the quickest ways out of the house. Like if I was in the living room and they were arguing in the kitchen, I wouldn't try and go for the front door, for example, because they'd see it from the kitchen. And then because once they finished arguing with each other, they come looking for someone to take their anger out on. So I used to have set places behind the settee and behind the counter, I moved stuff so there was little empty spaces behind it. It's a really good way of hiding it. I knew which windows to go out of and which routes could be seen. Like if they're upstairs, make sure you leave out the front or back, depending which way they're arguing, because they would find an excuse to have a go at you. I used to hear them come in when I was hiding. You'd hear them come in, basically him looking around. And sometimes just under the bed was enough, in fairness. They're angry, they're not thinking clearly. Sometimes they even hid behind a door. Sorry, a little bit of a difficult subject. But you're probably wondering why I'm bringing all this up to do with my disability. I have a condition called FND, or functional neurological disorder. It doesn't really explain what it is because it's like an umbrella term for lots of different things. It's still in its infancy of research. But anyway, the long and the short is my condition's aggravated by trauma. To put it simply, they beat me so badly, they broke a part of me. I was actually fine for most of my life till I was 19. That's when it kind of reached its zenith. It had been building, like there was headaches and collapses and little things that I had actually gone to doctors about, and they just said, doesn't sound like anything, don't worry about it. The National Health Service in England is great when they know what's wrong with you, but when they don't have a clear diagnosis, they're worthless. But saying that, they have helped me greatly. I'm still very glad I was born in England. A lot of countries wouldn't have given me any help. I wouldn't even be able to afford my medication in a lot of countries. So I was lucky on that one. But yeah, so my condition's aggravated by trauma. Beatings did it. Yeah. But anyway, I wrote this down a little bit more, so I'm going to finish my childhood bit. I'm only giving you the cliff notes, don't worry. I'm not going to go into too much detail. One of the questions that a lot of people always wonder is, how did this happen? How'd they get away with it? Well, anyone out there in an abusive situation, I'll tell you the golden rule: photos, video, evidence. They need evidence. They won't believe you without evidence. Even with evidence, they probably won't believe you. But it will help them to do something, because if a kid comes in or sends videos and stuff and they don't act on it, they can get in trouble. This sounds cynical, but it's true. Always remember that people who work in the services of helping people, especially children, are trained not to help you. It's expensive to help children. It's expensive to house them, to feed them, to clothe them, and the government don't want to do it. So they actually train them. They won't admit this, but they do train them to do as little as possible. It's all about getting rid of their liability than actually helping you, which is why photos are great, because then it's on them, isn't it? If they don't act, they get in trouble. They know that. They'll help. So it's always about trying to engineer a scenario where they'll help you, because if you don't have that, you're screwed. Yeah, I didn't have that. Well, technically that's not true. When I was 12, we did get taken away by police and put in protective custody. Sounds great. And it was terrible, actually. We were in this horrible hotel. It was basically just a normal, crappy hotel, except it had a security guard and a lock. And yet they charged about $300 a night. We didn't pay it, the government did, but it was like insane amount of money for this absolute crap hole. And by modern standards, it's probably about £800 these days. It's insane. That was a long time ago. But anyway, basically what happened is my mother, well, I'll start with what actually happened. My father laid into my brother with a metal pipe. He'd done it to me as well over the years. It was not so much about the pipe. It was just the closest thing to hand. And he did some horrendous damage. It was bruised. They used to work the thighs a lot. It's very common from what I gather from my support groups. Basically places they can hide the bruises. Like I say, when I was young, they didn't know that. So we got older, they started working the body more. But anyway, my mother took photos of this really bad bruising. So a few months later, she took him to the police. Police came and got us. We got taken away. Now, I've already said that my mother beat us as well. So you're probably wondering why she did this. And she did it to blackmail my father. Yeah. She had some credit card bills that he was refusing to pay the interest on. So she did the logical thing, which is go to the police and get him arrested for beating his children. Yeah, it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Oh. But yeah, so we got taken away by them to that for 2 weeks. Then my father said he'd pay the bills. And then the police took us home. That was that. They had the photos. They knew what was happening. I spoke to a load of police officers and everything. I remember saying to one of them, like, how long is this going to go on for? And he was like, oh, this poor child, he clearly doesn't understand what's happening. And he sat me down. It's like, well, these things take time. And he was trying to be nice, in fairness. I'm mocking him a little bit. He was seriously trying to help and be nice. But the problem is, he didn't understand the situation. I did. I knew what they were like. He thought they were normal people. They weren't. They aren't. So he thought we actually were going to get taken away for good. We weren't. As soon as it was done, we went home. But they had the evidence and they didn't do anything. Because like I say, it's expensive to take care of kids. If there's any chance there's parents there, they give them to them. I mean, I could tell you some real horror stories from friends that will make mine look like a holiday. One of them, it's the stuff of, the worst nightmares. I won't talk, it's not my story to tell. I know I'm not going to say names, but still. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked here. But yeah, like I say, even when there's evidence, doesn't mean they'll help you. But if it is happening to you or something, my advice is to have escape plans, quickest ways out of a room, places to hide. You just have to learn to live with it. If you can get help, great. If not, it helps you survive, quite frankly. Um, yeah, I'll never get it because, like, they only care about getting you out of the way. It's about getting you out of the problem. I mean, we spend billions in England. Every country does spends billions on killing people around the world. We're great with a defence budget, but a few 100 million to keep some kids safe for the future. I'll never understand that. I know that, I could be like, oh, he's looking at his own circumstance, not thinking it through. We need guns. I'm not saying we don't. I'm saying we got a lot of guns. We've got billions. Tiny, not even 1% of that could save how many kids' lives? A lot of people do take their own life from this. It's not easy. So I personally believe that people, they should be like that. Yeah. But anyway, it did get better after that. My father was so scared of going to jail that he didn't really hit us anymore. My mother got worse, if anything. I mean, let me tell you one. She came into my room and woke me up. I was like, what the hell's going on? And all that. And she was stealing my phone that I bought with my money, my phone. And she was taking it because hers had broke, so she was taking mine because that's how she viewed us. I got annoyed. Now, normally I would just let it pass, accept it. Resistance is futile, basically. And that morning, because she just woke me up, remember, I'm stressed. I was like, oh, for God's sake, which was a big mistake on my part because she came over and she just started punching like into me. And then again, normally I would take the beating. I was bigger at this point. I could take a beating. Instead, I got up and I defended myself like this, put my arms up. So I was blocking her punches, didn't do anything else. So then she started kicking me on the body because I couldn't block both. And I just sort of walked forwards and just get her out of the room and close the door. Which was a huge mistake. I should not have done that. I mean, don't get me wrong, nothing wrong with defending myself and all that. But the problem is, I know that there will be consequences. Like I say, they're narcissists. Narcissists have huge egos. When you make them look small, they go nuts. And she did. A few hours later, knock on the door. 2 police officers came storming in. Right, what's going on? Turn that TV off. Sit down. They came in all tough and strong. Because Christ knows how my mother had described me, but obviously as some sort of ruffian or something. And she basically told them I beat her up. They love doing that. It's a very narcissistic thing as well, isn't it? Just say the opposite of what happened. Say whatever they did, someone else did to them, because it's horrible when it happens to them, but not so bad when it happens to the other one. I just spoke to them calmly. Never get angry at police. I've never understood why people do. They didn't do anything wrong. They're just police. And I explained the situation. And honestly, you could see them because they're trained to look tough, especially kids and like teenagers, rowdy. And they just sort of visibly relaxed. And I'll never forget one of them just like sat down on my bed and was like, does she do this often? Like completely figured out what was going on. It was not complicated. The woman's nuts. I like to think I'm nothing like her, and I am, incidentally, nothing like her. I've dedicated a lot of my energy and my life to being nothing like my parents. I do not believe in violence. Self-defense, yes, there's a difference, but certainly would never hit a child, of all things. Just wouldn't. Regardless of what happened to me, it's just, why would anyone do that? They're children. Come on. But anyway, he clocked to it, and, I also got lucky. Turns out my mother had got her lies mixed up. When she rang the police, she told them it was her husband who had beaten her. Maybe she was planning to tell a different story, I don't know. So then when they got there, it was like, oh no, it was my son. They were like, why would someone get that wrong? But okay, we'll check it out. Probably didn't hurt that I had a bunch of small fist-sized bruises forming on my chest. Best bit is that when it was me who'd attacked her, they came in all tough and all that. But when I, said it was her, and they believed me completely. They were like, yeah, but there's nothing we can do. It's your word against hers. No evidence. And I was like, it's funny how when it was the other way around, they seemed more urgent on it, But that's usually how it goes. Like I say, evidence is key. And even then, what they're going to do? Take you into care, put you somewhere. There's no system for children. There really isn't. People always say the system's flawed, the system doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. There's no place for them. It's always just, oh, over here, just get rid of them, put them there. They don't have a permanent place. Personally, I think we should just give up on the whole giving them to families. Just have a permanent orphanage for them with like people who take care of them. Trust me, you don't need parents. I didn't have them. Anything you would consider a father or mother teaching you, like I learned how to shave from a YouTube video. I'm not even joking. I mean, yes, looking at this, you might think he needs to watch it again since I've got a beard, but you know what I mean. Back when I used to shave, like we, they, all the things they taught us were how to take a punch. Basically, is all I ever learned, and they didn't teach me. I just found out that if you lean forwards, it hurts less. Almost did it by accident. As an adult, I actually know why. When you lean it, like the punching, if you go backwards, they build up more momentum. If you're closer, it actually stops the momentum. Yeah, it's counterintuitive, isn't it? I only found out because they were hitting me once and I leant back by accident. And yeah, anyway. So yeah, that's my childhood. People want to know who I am. There's my origin story. And then, like I was saying, I got out of it. I did really well, quite frankly, and I got away. And then discovered that they damaged me so much that seizure. I was at work one day. Like I said, hang on. I was 19. I was at work. Just had a seizure. Really freaking bad one, shaking. Don't know how long it lasted, gone. And then something like popped in my brain. I remember feeling it. It's they said it probably wasn't the brain popping, but it was like capillaries inside here, and there was just like blood gushing out my face. Well, my nose, not out my face. But yeah, it was like such a cliche movie one. I usually don't get nosebleeds, so that one was just really bad. And whatever happened, that just damaged me. My movements were screwed. I could barely even hold a pen, let alone write. I couldn't walk. I just got taken to the hospital, and they had no idea what was wrong with me back then. The diagnosis came many years later. But I was in hospital. They did every test, like so many. They traveled me up to London, here, there, this place, did this, did that. I couldn't do pretty much anything. Every time I stood up, I was passing out. I was having like 4 or 5 seizures on a good day, sometimes more. Kept getting paralyzed all the time, just absolute agony. They started jacking me up with pills because there was nothing else that could be done. And I was in there for 4 weeks, a little bit over. I think it was like 4 weeks and 2 days. And then, I left. I just carried on as an outpatient. And for about a year, I kept going back, test, test appointment. They never knew. They never could work it out. Eventually, I figured out I was going to have to do it myself. There was no wonder drug, no wonder thing they were going to do. So I got into hydrotherapy quite early on, but I couldn't do it. I physically couldn't move in physiotherapy at all. Sorry, physio first, hydro came later. I just literally could not move my body enough. I was too disabled. I kept locking up, freezing, and it was about 8 months before I could actually do it. I remember because something sort of unlocked in my back and it relaxed and I could move. I don't think I say move well, but suddenly I could start moving instead of just tensing in place. And then I started doing hydro and physio. You only get a few appointments in England, so our healthcare system. I think I got 6 hydrotherapy appointments, but I got a load of exercises from them, like tailored for me. And then I used to go to the local swimming pool, go 3 times a week. You could, in movies, they love saying like, I did it every day. I get stronger and stronger. That's bullshit. You can't do it every day. It physically kills you. You do it one day, the next day you're dead. You're in bed. You can't move. It's a nightmare. So it's every 3 times a week, every other day. It was the most you can do. And it's also when I got into comics instantly. I used to read a lot. But with all the meds and the pain and everything, it was harder to focus. And pictures and words were easier than just words. I'm not trying to dumb it down or anything. It was just how my mind was working. And this is when I really got into comics. Obviously, I'd already been into them. But this is when I read, well, we're talking tens of thousands over the course of a few years, because I was at home all the time. I blew through all my savings. I got loads of tax rebates. I wasn't working, got money off the government, thank Christ. No disability or anything like that. Oh no, it was too difficult to prove. Didn't get that at all. But I did get like incapacity benefit and stuff. You can't work because you're too ill. And yeah, that's when I started reevaluating my life. What led to this eventual job. I used to be a builder. I specialized in doing places up. I'd turn a house into like luxury flats. And I was really good at it. I really was. And I loved it. I love creating things. I remember this garden I did once. It was very early on. It was when I really decided I wanted to be a builder. And it was like absolute hell. Like we're talking 4-foot high nettles, like thick thorns, weeds, just so much. This entire garden was a maze, a jungle of huge weeds. It took me weeks. I killed everything. I ripped up all the soil. I planted down new not astroturf, just turf. and I put plants, little rock formations, and it was just this nursing home. But I went to town on it and did the whole thing before we converted the rest of it, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And I loved doing that. I loved going to somewhere that was absolutely terrible, like gutting it, painting it, ripping out all the walls and everything, building them back up, painting it, making it look nice, fitting all the kitchen. I loved it. And I'm a qualified plumber, Sitting Guild level 2, that I can install bathrooms and kitchens. I also have it in bricklaying, electronics, and carpentry, so I can install most things, paint most things, windows, all the jazz. And all of that became useless overnight because I couldn't even stand up. So I started looking for new jobs, and eventually I decided to retrain. Originally, I was going to go with my science background. I have a science background. I was going to be a forensic scientist, did a year of it at uni before I switched to film because I discovered that the job market was terrible. I went with science because I thought it would be a better job market. Nope, absolutely terrible job market. Same as any job, right? It depends on you, how good you are at it. You have to sell yourself. It's like that with every job. I'd always heard with anything in film, oh no, it doesn't matter how good you are, it's who you know. It's the same with every job on the planet. It doesn't matter how good you are, it's who you know. It's all up to you. So I figured if that's the case, and I believe in myself, I can do film. So I did. Started getting into YouTube, obviously. Started doing comic book things. They started taking off. Started doing more, etc., which led to this, NeedleMouse Productions. Long process, long time. I started when I was at uni, so when I left uni, I had some money coming in because it started taking off at that point. I had to do that because I don't really have parents, as you probably guessed. Last time I spoke to my father was 7 years ago because he stole my identity and committed a load of fraud. Run up loads of bills in my name, signed up a flat in my name, believe it or not, forged my signature, everything. Took a long time to take care of that. He refused to admit he did it, even though I had all the forms from all the people. He was like, oh, they're all lying. I'm like, yeah, the debt collectors, the letting agent, they're all lying. They're all in on it, are they? I had the bills in front of me. I knew everything he'd done. He'd gotten my bank details, and it doesn't matter. Look. Anyway, so I don't really have parents. My mother's much worse than him. I mean, I haven't even touched on the worst thing she ever did. Well, let me give you one example. My mother used to write off cars for the insurance. Not the worst crime in the world, I know, but it looks a bit dodgy if she kept writing off the cars on her own. And she noticed that the police didn't look so closely if she had kids in the car. So she used to put the kids in the car to write them off, which is how I damaged my back, which later led to me being in a wheelchair because when my neurological condition activated, all my pain senses got turned up really high, like really sensitive. It's all out of whack. So the pain from my back was livable, hurt, but livable. I have it for the whole life, thanks to her. And suddenly it was cripplingly overpowering. That's why I have to take most of the painkillers I take, is to get past that pain. All because she wanted to write off a car. And that's still not the worst thing she did, but I ain't getting any darker. Like I say, I'm lucky I was born in England because I've got access to decent healthcare at least. But yeah, so yeah, that's me. Abused childhood, got past it. Turns out the abuse did damage. Got in a wheelchair, got past it. 2 years it took me. I'd stopped halfway, didn't I? I just kept doing hydrotherapy and everything. Went from 2 crutches, 1 crutch, no crutch. Took about 2 years. It took longer. I always say 2 years because I could walk without crutches, but I couldn't walk far, and I still can't run to this day. I'm a lot better than I was. I mean, okay, you can't really see with this video. I'm not going all the way back, but I am out of a wheelchair. I can walk, and quite frankly, I'm quite proud of that. It is without a doubt my greatest achievement, and it probably always will be. It was the worst time of my life, and that's saying something, as I'm sure you've guessed, given how the rest of my life was before this. Yeah, but that's what happened. I mean, ironically, in a way, I'm doing this because I became disabled. I'd probably still be a builder, probably quite more successful if I'm being honest. But I did this because I'd always dreamed of doing, I love cartoons, I love animation, I love superhero animation. I'd always dreamed of making it. This is the next best thing as I get to that point. But yeah, it's funny how you gravitate towards these things. I had the opportunity, I took it, I worked hard. I'm not stinking rich, but it's enough to live on. I make off of this, so it's pretty good. Admittedly, I never thought I'd be a YouTuber. I really didn't. Like I said, I wanted to make cartoons, but I like creating things, and this is just as good. And I like that people really like it. Obviously, not everyone in the world, but my actual fans, you guys, hopefully if you're still watching this long, do like it. And I'm really, really happy about that. It's really nice to know that you're having a positive impact on someone. I know that's a cliche and it's corny as hell, I know, but it is true. It is true. Um, so yeah, that is me. Born poor, born with the family from hell. I've got siblings, incidentally, so I do have some family. We still see each other Christmas stuff. It's just my parents we've written off. All of us have, obviously. Don't want them in our lives. Like, I'm not going to touch on my brothers and sisters' story. That's theirs, not mine. You don't talk about other people's trauma. My trauma, that's fine. Other people's is theirs. It's not my place. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, I do have some family in that, and I've got friends and everything, obviously. So all things considered, I've actually done quite well out of the whole thing. I've moved past it, got this going and everything. And a lot of people who want to know about me for some bizarre reason. I mean, I was always of the mind that I want people to know my work and I want people to enjoy it. But me, I don't really see why anyone would care, quite frankly. I don't need that. Um, I just hope this video comes out all right. Like I said, I'm doing it on my phone. So I honestly have no idea how this is going to sound. I couldn't connect a mic up to it or anything. I really am sorry about that. Hopefully I'll get better in the future. But I was planning to do it today. Broken camera, won't connect this. It's just life's obstacles. So I'll probably mix this a bit in Final Cut, try and make it sound a bit better. Hopefully it does. But yeah, that is everything. I got up. I got into comics more because I couldn't do stuff, and that eventually led to this. That's why I have such a insane level of comic knowledge, not to brag, but I do because I read about it. And I know someone's probably thinking, is it because you were disabled, it got you into it? And the answer is not really. I always had an interest, probably because of my childhood. The idea of having power so I could get out of my situation, yeah, definitely. And then obviously being disabled, having, say, Wolverine's healing, yes, of course. Love all of that. So yeah, there's probably an interest, but come on, it's mainly good storytelling and just the idea of someone standing up for the little guy. Like I said, I never had that. In real life, there is no one who comes along and fixes your problems. There's no like, Samuel Jackson and that Coach Carter type thing. No one comes to get you. No one comes to help you. You have to help yourself. That's how it works. That's what life is. That's why these movies are so great, because we love the idea of someone actually helping. And I wish I could help more people like that. I have helped a few in support groups, and there was one family, I'm not going to touch on it because it's really messed up. I did help who lived near us, well, marginally. But yeah, I mean, you learn that you have to take care of yourself. You've got to survive. It's up to you. Um, and if anyone out there is in an abusive situation, seriously, contact someone. I didn't really ever contact anyone. I never thought anyone would help. I never really fully comprehended we were abused, to be honest. I know it sounds nuts, what I've told you. I think I blocked it from my mind. That's what my therapist says anyway. And I just refused to accept we were because, but yeah, if you are in this situation or similar, any type of it, get help, get evidence, get help. Don't be obvious. Don't hold a camera up when they're doing it. Maybe hide it in their pocket, hide it in the room. You know what I mean? It's risky. If you think there's even the slightest chance that if they found you doing that, that'd be worse, don't do it. Don't. But if not, have places to hide, places to escape to, and don't be afraid to tell teachers or something, or anyone really in an independent position. Family, not always a good idea. My other family did nothing. A lot of them don't, unfortunately. But independent people, maybe. It's difficult to say. But hopefully none of you are in that position, and this is a rarity. That would be nice. But yeah, so I think I'm going to wrap that up there. That is who I am. Just a guy, born poor, disabled, got past it, worked hard, built this channel up. Yeah, it's not like I'm saying, oh, he's a multi-millionaire. That'd be nice. But, I made something out of my life, at least. I like to think so. And if you've got any questions for me, like anything you want to know, I'm going to try and do a live video with a Q&A soon. So write in. Yeah, this isn't like that type of show. You know what I mean? Send a post over or just write in the comments. And I'll see if I can do a Q&A one. If I can't do it live, I will do this again, just answering questions. But even if it's not like about me, just like comic ideas and stuff you want to know, opinions on stuff, whatever. I'm going to try and do Q&A more, I think, because people have asked for it. And why not? Could be fun. All right. Well, thanks for watching. Like everywhere. Like always, thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting. You got the stuff and all that. And yeah, like, subscribe, share, all of that jazz. And I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope I wasn't too disappointing for you. And I hope my childhood was at least entertaining. I mean, if you're going to have a bad childhood, at least be entertaining with it. Anyway, thanks, guys.